So obviously I've been working out of this one already downstairs when I was patching some of those, so I've already stirred the top inches, a couple inches of it, used maybe an inch worth of this bucket. So like I said, we want to take this thing and just into there, give it a good stirring. Make sure you got good consistency in your mud. This first coat, it might be better to have it a little thicker, but obviously I was doing finish work with this, so it's a little thinner. It's got some water in it. So it'll still be alright though. Stir it up nice and neat. Make sure you got good consistent mud. And watch out for babies that love to put their hands in it. So mud is mixed. On this initial coat, I'm not going to use those. I'm just going to use those two tools. Baby trying to help. If you got loose stuff like this, take it off. It'll just get in the way. It's hard to glue it back down, so just get it out of the way. Like that. Get all of that off. I think already, yeah, the rest of it seems pretty good, so let's get to it. I could probably use the thinner knife because this will spread okay. And I don't need a full amount. So you might try it that way first. Get a good amount of mud come across first. And then move up. And this first one is going to be the very rough scratch coat, so I'm not expecting perfection out of this. Get these off the edges of it. That'll make life easier when you're sanding. So again, come across, spread up. Get those out, come across. And generally you can work one side of an inside corner at a time, or else you just screw yourself up. Alright, so sanding. I did that first coat last night. Already sanded a lot of this. But you notice before sanding you're going to have these ridges like this, and you're trying to buff it out so it's a little smoother. You want it as smooth as possible. You don't have to get all that down. You can see all the ridges there. But you don't have to get that down. All these striations, they're going to be where they're at. And you notice this is nowhere near good enough for a final edge, but it's enough to tack in and hold in the corner bead. So I'll remove all that. I'm trying not to play with this corner, and just this edge of the corner. We've got to take all this roughness down so that the trowel will slide over it nice and easy with the bigger knife, because that was this knife. The next one will go out to like here. So bigger knife, wider, thinner mud, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute. I can't forget all these places up here. This wall's got nicks and hits in it all over the place. Might as well do it now. Saw a few more down there that I was doing, but you're looking for smooth. Some of this will be okay. Yeah, nick. Lots of nicks in the wall. Like this one that I filled in, that's relatively alright. Yeah, needs another skim coat over it, but this one will not. I'm gonna have to put a patch on this, because that just would not hold the joint compound. So yeah, definitely got to do some sanding in here, but you want it smooth enough so you can get that next skim coat on. And that skim coat should be very easy to do, very thin. And I'll show you how I mix that in a second. But yeah, so the thing with this, the first coat's always going to be really rough like this. You sand it all down and get it ready for the next skim coat. And you can fill in stuff like this with that stem coat. All these knife marks and striations in here, you can fill all that in. 2, maybe 3 coats of joint compound, and then you're done. And obviously I'm trying to erase all the marks of the previous baseboard, because this floor is still coming up another ½ inch, and then the baseboard will sit on top of it. But I want that to be a nice smooth edge for it to sit on top too. Makes it easier when I'm caulking it later on, if this is as flat and smooth as possible, at least enough for a board to do too. So that also means you don't have to worry about the stuff down here. You don't have to worry so much about filling that. It's just really from here up. that I'm trying to make smooth. So a lot of this may be okay just at this, because you look, this is pretty smooth and neat, and that'll be all right. Now, as far as sanding goes, I don't know if that shows up on film. I was going with it this way. You do that. I don't know if you can see those stripes that get in there. It's because of the grid. When you sand, you actually want to be at a 45. Or at an angle to it, and you notice it totally erased those marks. I hope you can see that on there. But if you go straight up and down or side to side, you will put stripes, grooves or scratches into your joint compound. What you want to do is at an angle. It's a lot like if you've ever done auto body work. Come in at an angle, switch it up. But you notice that smooths all that out nice and neat, and that's all I want, is for it to be relatively smooth. So when I put my baseboard on, it's better. And the other key is, once you're done sanding all this, get the vacuum in here and vacuum up all this dust that you can before you come up with the next coat. Oh, do I have it in the bucket up here? I usually keep a little mortar brush to brush all this stuff off too. And it makes life easier too. But yeah, I'm going to get back to it. Alright, these little patches, when you're on bare joint compound, they don't want to stick too well. So if you're going to put it on, you almost got to mud it pretty much immediately. I'll get to that in a few minutes. I want to get into how you actually mix the mud for your final coat. There's only a couple spots here along the baseboards where I got to do that. A couple nicks here and here. So most of the baseboards are pretty much done as I need them to be. Let's swatch here, there. Most of it's pretty dang good. Maybe a little bit right there. This corner for sure, and then I think the rest of it's pretty much good. Repairing these corner beads, obviously I'll need a little bit more skim on those. That one too, but yeah. It's a heck of a lot less work than stripping these out. I'd rather have rounded corners here, but I'm done with the drywall work. I'm done with it. I want it to be over. So, for mixing, obviously I brought up a 3-inch knife as well, because I can probably get into here better. Shoot, still dust on there. Like I was saying, keep a masonry brush around, and that way you can brush out the dust, and your next coat will sit better. Thought I had it all, but no, I didn't. Okay, so after sanding, this is me. It's quite the freaking workout for me. I hate sanding. I'm drenched in sweat. But I suppose that kind of hard work will keep you young. Let me get this open and ready. Alright, when I'm mixing this stuff, obviously the mixer for the drill, I keep a little bucket of cold water with me. Because what you want to do is take the top 2 inches of this and mix it really, really thin. Now what's fun about joint compound is you can do that. Just the top 2 inches get mixed up nice and thin. The others stay with the original factory consistency. Unless you dig deeper with that. So I basically just, as deep as this goes, that's how much I mix up in there. And you want it thin, but not too thin. You don't want it liquid thin, but you want it thin enough that it spreads out more and it fills in these little pockmark air bubble holes. Those things, when you're thick, those things happen a heck of a lot more. At least they do for me. With a thinner coat now, it should skim right over that nice and neat. In this corner, we'll only need one more coat, one more sanding tomorrow, and then we can prime and paint everything up here. Well, it's already primed on the walls, but my wife's idea of masking up there, we got to change that. Hi, baby. All right, let's get to mixing. All right, a little bit of cold water. Maybe about that much to start. A little bit goes a long way with any of this, and then mix it. I'm not going too deep with it, because I only want to soften up the top layer. Kind of test the consistency, see how it slumps off your mixer. See, that's pretty good consistency. about where I want it, because that skim on the wall is nice and neat. You get a good flat skim. And for this step, like I said, I'm going to use this 3-inch knife for the corners. And I'm going to go to the wide knife for any other areas I got to skim. A lot of this is just, it's just fine, but there's only a few areas I want to touch up, so that way it's only a little bit of sanding tomorrow, and we'll be done. Alright, for this stage I am going to use my bucket. And this is a tool that I haven't always had, but I love it. Nice and curved. So you can dump in. Sean, I'm going to need you to hold. Scrape off on the middle edge. And dump in. That's probably plenty more to work with at first. Follow me, Sean. Yeah, that'll fit perfect in there. Couldn't get it in there, golly. That nice and neat and flat. That'll fill that in. Very minimal sanding will be required. This, I need to put some mud on real quick. See, I'm trying to push in so the mud goes through that patch. This area I'm probably going to have to do another coat of tomorrow. That was my mistake. But you look, with decent pressure, you're not getting that much in the way of air bubbles when you do it. Alright, right there. Fill in that other patch. Which reminds me around the corner. That patch in the master bedroom. Get all these little nicks. Alright. These walls. Over 30-year-old house, of course, it's going to have nicks in all the walls everywhere. But, oh well. Here, let's go around the corner here. So I already sanded this one off days ago. But there's all kinds of, you can see in the light, little air bubbles there. I'm going to press it in nice and good. I'm not trying to build up any at all here. I'm basically trying to fill in those bubbles. Because as we saw downstairs in the dining room, they do telegraph through. Even after paint, I was kind of hoping paint would fill in a lot of them. I'm being too much of a perfectionist, but yeah, that should be alright. Let's see what else. I'm just sticking with the 3-inch knife here because there's only random spots I want to fill a little bit more. Like here, move down, Sean. Let's get this out of the way. Swipes of sandpaper to be able to fill that in. I'm probably being too perfectionist with all these nicks. Alright, this corner is where I really need to switch over to long knife. threshold of long enough. Scrape that up as much as you can. Notice if you don't clean them off too well, it'll start discoloring and corroding a little bit. Drywall's got very good catalyst for rust, no matter how stainless this is. That's why these ones get anodized like this. Put them up there. I'm getting air bubbles all over this, and that's just my most hated frustration about drywall. It means I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. It is going on pretty smooth right now, though. It's nice and wet, so you can give it several stripes or several swipes. But you look up here, that's forming lots of air bubbles there, so a couple more swipes, keep the mud pressed into it. It almost made them disappear. Yeah, pretty well. Alright. I'm going to set the camera down and I'm going to go to swiping this. You get the general idea that you're going out wider than you were before. So it'll smooth it out, and it also tricks the eye. The eye doesn't see that angle as much, because this does pop out from where the wall was at. So it's coming out. But when you spread that out, your eye doesn't see it as well. So let's see. Let's put this camera down somewhere. See, I was playing around with that one a whole lot. I got some air bubbles that are going to form in there. Thing is, you mix it up nice and wet like this, you got plenty of working time. I think I may try to squeegee out some of those air bubbles first, but I've got one of the clips sitting right there from the frog's clips kind of poking through. The other two are down there. So I'm trying to bury those, and you notice I'm going way past where the initial patch is right in here. So I'm trying to feather that out so it doesn't draw any attention to the eye. You know, spread it out over a good distance and it'll disappear. But yeah, I'm gonna get at it a little bit more, and then it's time to go downstairs and hit that ceiling patch, and then that's probably the end of this video. So yeah, there's what I know about it. Yeah, mix it down nice and wet, and it gives you plenty of working time, but I'm still getting bubbles there. So I'm probably gonna hit this one a couple more times and be done. But yeah, thanks for watching.